Hi, I'm Don Carr, and today we're taking a look at the Fender Acoustasonic series. We have the Jazzmaster, the Telecaster, and the Stratocaster, and I'm here with Matt Fawcett. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Don. How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing really well.
Awesome, man. Matt is a sales engineer here at Sweetwater, and Matt was an early adopter of the Acoustasonic guitars. He plays a Telecaster live, right?
Yep, sure do.
And you've played it live for a couple of years now, so you're really familiar with it. And of course, he's selling them as well, so he's got a lot of great insight. So Matt, let's take a look at all three of these and see what the differences are.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay. So starting with the Tele, that's the one you're the most familiar with.
Correct. Yeah, this was the first one they came out with. Tele body shape, super classic, super iconic. I was primarily an acoustic guitar player and played a little bit of electric guitar on a lot of the songs that I play. And this was the first instrument that allowed me to do both without having to have guitar changeovers.
Right.
There are specific positions that I like playing when I'm just doing solo stuff by myself because it's a lot thicker, full range.
Right.
But I also play a lot with other people or with tracks, whether that be at church or, again, solo stuff by myself,
Right.
where I want more of a cutting tone or something
Right.
that would be more fitting to not take up the whole spectrum with just the guitar.
Right, right.
This guitar was the first one that I found that allowed me to really be able to carve and shape my acoustic tone without having to have a massive pedal board sitting in front of me and by being able to fit the situation that I was in.
Yeah.
The neck shape of this one is a lot thinner, more similar to what you would find on an electric guitar.
Okay.
The different positions on here gives you a lot of different choices for acoustic guitar tones from standards and classics that we're all used to, and has a great way to be able to switch between them, like all of them do, between the A and B mod.
Yeah.
And the way they divvied things up made it really easy to be able to go from two different opposites and then get a blend of the mix of both of those together.
Right, right.
The main difference on this one when they first started out is your first position gives you your electric clean tone, and then in the A position gives you your more pushed or overdriven type tone.
Right.
For me personally, I use a little bit more distortion on amp modeling just to get it where I like it, but
Right.
overdrive is very subjective,
Sure.
and your mileage will vary based off of what you want to hear.
User results may vary.
Exactly. From there, position 2 gives you an acoustic fully by itself. One of the other positions has the same acoustic, and then you can roll in some of that electric tone with it, with the mod knob.
Yeah.
But that's one specific tone where they give you a pre-blend of it.
Right.
The middle position is going to be your body sensor,
Right.
and an acoustic tone that you can blend in there with it as well.
Okay.
Then the other two positions, 4 and 5, give you your classic, iconic acoustic guitar tones, small body, large body, and then different.
Slope shoulder and that sort of thing. Right. And the interesting thing is that all three of these follow that same sort of format, but with slight variances. Like one of the big differences on the Strat is that you've got, in position 2, you've got full acoustic, full electric, clean, and then a blend anywhere in between of that. And on both of these, that position 2 is a pre-blend even all the way to the A position, right?
Correct, yeah. So if you're wanting more electric sounds, the Strat technically gives you 3 distinct electric tonalities, clean, semi-pushed, and then a more distorted tone. Whereas with both the Tele and the Jazzmaster, you're going to have something that's basically pre-designed to give you a unique sound, but it's going to be a blend and not a distinct, pure, just electric tone.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and then of course with the Jazzmaster, it's completely different because this pickup is a completely different animal.
Correct. Yeah. So they went from a single coil to a shawbucker, which sounds completely different than both the Tele and the Strat.
It does, man. I actually really like the sound of this. And the thing that we were marveling at the most is how well all the sounds sound through an electric amp, right?
Yeah.
So just for a quick example, so play the single coil, just straight clean electric sound through the acoustic amp on the Tele. Cool. Now let's hear that same thing. This is through the electric amp with the shawbucker. completely different tonality.
Yep.
I mean, it definitely sounds more like a humbucker in general.
For sure. Yeah, it's definitely a lot meatier tone.
Right.
And yeah, it sounds really good through that amp.
Yeah. Well, and it translates through the acoustic amp as well. So moving forward a little bit to this guitar specifically, you've got that more distorted sound in B, in the B position, which is this. And you've got, of course, the blend. Pretty impressive, yeah, right? And then through the electric amp, and again, it translates through the acoustic amp as well. And then position 2 is slightly different. I mean, it's not as electric sounding. I mean, right? So that's the straight acoustic sound. And then we've got this sound, which is pushed, but it doesn't sound like the Shawbucker exactly. It doesn't have that same kind of mid-range presence.
Correct, yeah. It's more of a blend where you can hear a little bit of the acoustic tonality in there, but the Shawbucker is definitely present as well, which is completely unique.
Yeah, it's its own animal at that point, you know. And then the rest of it, the other positions are similar to the other two, where you've got position 3 is the body sensor, and then the 4 and 5 are the more acoustic, traditional acoustic sounds.
Yep. Yeah. Then the other main difference with both the Stratocaster and the Jazzmaster is your neck shape is a lot deeper too.
Right.
So anybody who's used to playing an acoustic guitar is probably going to gravitate more towards that specific neck.
Right.
Just because it's going to feel more comfortable in the hand.
Right. And if you're an electric player and the feel is the most important thing, that is definitely the way to go. Another interesting thing that you pointed out, you like roll the controls while you're playing. Not so easy on this one. Right?
Not unless you got really long fingers.
Right. If you're, if you're this guy, right? Wow. Yeah. Which, again, that's a preference thing. It's not a good, bad, or whatever. It's a preference thing, because if you're a big strummer, it's kind of convenient because it's really out of the way. But if you're this person that wants to, interesting choice, because the Strat, the controls are right there as well.
Yeah, which actually I found out on accident because I went to go move the mod knob and turn the volume completely off.
Right, because for you,
it's right
here.
Yeah,
right. The mod knob is right there and not all the way back here.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting.
So, which is interesting. I mean, I love the design of it, and yeah, for the right person, if you are a big strummer, these can get in the way for sure.
Right.
So if you want to strum real big, and this having a bigger body too is going to allow for bigger strumming too.
Sure, and it's a little louder just acoustically. You know, just like sitting on the couch or whatever, for what that's worth.
Yeah, because even playing, we were talking earlier, and I switched my picks out because I was overexciting the top on this one because I was digging in too much. Whereas with that one, maybe not as much of an issue. It's still, think of it like a thin line acoustic guitar. Yeah,
it is. I mean, this is still a resonant top. That's kind of the whole point. That's part of the sound. Is that this is a resonant top. So it is, and lighter gauge strings, which come on these guitars, like 11 to 52, right? I think is what it is. So it's kind of a hybrid set, but still a little bit lighter gauge. Pretty easy to overplay those strings.
Yes.
And again, if you're a big strummer, hard strummer, you might want to look at a thinner pick. I'm using a 1 millimeter, but I'm kind of medium to light. I can dig in when I need to, but I don't tend to do that. But if you're kind of, if you're that person, it might be, you might want to look at something a little thinner.
Yep, that's me.
Is that you? There you go.
So thin to medium picks.
Yeah.
And it responds well.
Yeah.
And it still allows you to dig in when you need to. But that was the one major difference that I noticed was just pick choice or whatever definitely allowed the guitar to speak better.
Yeah. Not be as, compressed. Maybe you're quacky sounding even or whatever, because you get a lot of attack, when you have bigger strings or small, string size, pick size. It all makes a difference. It's just getting the right tool for the job.
Yep.
That's really it.
Exactly.
So now you have the Strat. Let's take a listen to this. I really wanted to point out the electric sounds because that seems to be the big difference, right?
For sure.
You know, with the Strat. So
there's 3 distinct electric tones in the Strat. You have a fully pushed distorted tone. Then all the way on the other side, you have a little bit pulled back, so still somewhat dirty pushed, but not anywhere near as much as it was.
that's cool. That's position 1.
Yep, that's
right?
position 1.
And so the fully clean is in position 2.
In position 2, rolled up to A, and this is the fully clean.
Interesting. Okay, so now, and you can blend that with an acoustic tone.
Correct. So there is an acoustic tone all the way on B for this one. So you can do anywhere in between. So you can either have the full clean electric tone, full acoustic electric tone, or anywhere in between.
So give us half and half. That's cool.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's unique just to this one because
Right.
it's the only one that has just electric and acoustic on that position too.
Yeah, and they voiced it to sound great through an acoustic amp, which I think is really smart.
Yes.
'Cause then it's just one less rig change or A/B switcher or different boxes or whatever you got to have.
For sure, yeah. For the acoustic player or somebody who's just going direct to an acoustic amp or a DI, the Stratocaster and the Telecaster are absolutely phenomenal for that. You don't have to worry about adding a bunch of extra pedals. You can, like I do,
right?
Just because, why not? But it's not
you work
necessary.
at Sweetwater.
That's right.
So, okay, well, cool. Yeah, and what's interesting about the Jazzmaster is that it sounds good through an electric rig or an acoustic rig, right? So let's do something really interesting here. Nice experiment. Let's play acoustic sounds through an electric amp. That's something you'd normally do.
That sounds really good.
I know, that's pretty reasonable. If you had that on the gig, you wouldn't be horrified at all. You'd like, that'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. The first time I played this through the electric amp, I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. So this guitar might lend itself to an electric player in that way. Now again, the Tele has a smaller neck, so if the neck is a bigger issue, then that's another consideration. This has a the little bit chunkier neck, but sonically and just functionally, it kind of can function through either one. Like if you had a clean electric rig and you just needed to add an acoustic guitar with some electric capabilities, just kind of a good way to go.
Yeah, for the electric player that already has that whole rig, and they're not wanting to take another DI or an acoustic amp, that's a phenomenal choice. Yeah. Because it sounds really good.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does. And the other thing that's interesting too is that, again, all that translates through the acoustic amp as well.
Yep. So it's honestly, it's a great option really for probably anybody. But there are certain things that, like the neck size, or if you're playing through an electric amp, that are definitely going to point people that direction.
Right. Or one way or the other. And again, like with the Strat, you've got the, you've got the clean blend, and the clean and acoustic blend right there on one position, which is pretty unique.
Yeah, for sure.
So Matt, we have 3 different instruments here, not just in look and shape and name or whatever, but even in function as well, which I really like.
Yeah, it's a really cool series because they all have their own distinct voice, and they're all different enough to where it's not, just pick your favorite shape and go with it. There would be reasons for somebody to gravitate towards one or the other, just based on how they're planning on using it. Right,
right. Yeah, that is really the key. And I don't know, you've had a lot of experience with that on the sales side of it, helping guys figure out what they want,
Yeah, before when it was just the Stratocaster and the Telecaster, it really came down to more neck feel and then how much you wanted electric tones versus acoustic tones. Right. Because the Strat had one more, people were gravitating towards that if they wanted more electric tones or if they wanted a thicker neck shape to feel more like an acoustic guitar feel-wise. Yeah. Electric players who wanted the acoustic sound were definitely going more towards Telecasters. Yeah. Now with the Jazzmaster in there, it's probably going to gravitate really towards anybody that really wants something that feels like an acoustic guitar that will work in any situation you throw it in.
Right, with either rig, electric or acoustic style rig, and then you get you can get the electric and acoustic sounds through both of them.
Yeah. And for somebody who's just a solo musician and wants to roll into just whatever PA is going to be there, that guitar can get you about 90% of the way with a cable. Whereas with the other two, you probably would be okay and would really enjoy playing either of them. But if you want something that can get dirty on its own and really give you an overdriven sound, the Shawbucker lends itself to that really well.
Yeah. Well, and you bring up a lot of great points about these things in general. Just the series as a series and the way that you use it.
Yeah. So using it personally, I like doing things by myself as a solo musician, and I know what rig I'm showing up with most of the time. But it's lent itself as a worship musician really well too, because there's times where you don't have the electric player, they can't show up at practice, but you need to have the lead line where you can get away with not having the acoustic part in there. You can literally have a guitar that without switching anything out and just flipping a switch can easily pick that up and do it.
Yeah.
So it definitely lends itself to be a single guitar that you can show up with a cable and be able to really serve your audience or your team as best you possibly can.
Yeah, super versatile, super easy to use. That's the best part about it, man. Matt, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you, man.
My pleasure.
Thanks for sharing your knowledge.
Anytime.
Yeah, and if you have any questions about any of the Fender Acoustasonic stuff, make sure to contact your Sweetwater sales engineer, like this guy over here, and he'll definitely hook you up. Thanks.